This is Retirement Keys with Anthony Congemi from Crescent City Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Anthony provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Retirement Keys with your host, Anthony Congemi.
All right, welcome to another show of Retirement Keys. My name's Anthony Congemi. We have our co-host with us this morning, Mr. Tony Shore, and we are so thankful that you are with us this morning. We think we have a really good show for you today. Before we get started, I'd like to just introduce our co-host. He's fabulous. We really couldn't do the show without him. Tony, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, great to be here, Anthony. And we do have a great show. We started this ultimate retirement checklist last week, and we did part 1, and now we're going to do part 2. I can't wait to dig into it. But yeah, I've been good. I spent a lot of time with the family over the last week. You know, we had 4th of July. I can't believe we're already over halfway through this year, and we're already in July. We don't have a whole lot of summer left, it seems, right?
No, I tell you, man, you blink your eyes and time, my mom used to say, time waits for no man.
Time waits for no man.
Keeps marching on. But I tell you, Tony, it is some kind of hot over here in South Louisiana.
The heat wave has been crazy, hasn't it?
I feel like it's getting hotter. I mean, I don't recall, although we said that last year. So,
It's
maybe
true.
we're just not, we're just getting older or something. But it does seem hotter than it had been in the past. Humid and hot. Now, where you are, Tony, in Minnesota, is it a dry heat?
Nope, we have humidity here as well. In the summer, it can get really hot and can get really humid. Typically, the temperatures aren't that warm, but we had a humid day yesterday. But we've missed the heat wave this year. The heat wave is really the rest of the country. The Midwest has had rain, and we have massive flooding. A lot of the fields, the farmland is flooded. The rivers are overflowing their banks. So we've just had so much rain here that is really not usual for this area, the amount of rain we've had. But we've escaped the heat so far this year. Fingers crossed.
Y'all have?
Yeah, we have. But I know everywhere else I have friends that live in Nashville, Arizona, California. I mean, California's been unseasonably hot, and they usually have a drier heat, but or cooler temps closer to the coast. But no, how about there? I mean, you've been having abnormally high temps, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. I mean, it feels like it's over 100 degrees. Pretty much. Every day it's getting in the high 90s, and
makes it hard to do stuff outside, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah, you walk outside and
you're just soaking wet.
Soaking wet.
Yeah. It's tough.
So yeah. But I'll tell you though, I really, our weather here, I would say from around September all the way through to March or even April. Really, September to April, we have pretty good weather here.
Yeah.
It's just really May through August. It starts getting hot in May, and then it really gets heated up through the summer. So maybe 3-4 months out of the year, we really have this unbearable heat. But for the most part, as I say, about 8 months out of the year, I would say we have pretty good weather. So, you just gotta, take the good with the bad, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. You gotta take the good with the bad.
Of our clients, we have snowbirds that live in South Florida, and they travel back and forth, and they just migrate with the birds, and try to go where the weather's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and it has been fair. Besides rain, it's been really nice here. The days where it's not raining are beautiful, sunny. upper 70s, breeze. We've had a number of those days. So it's been beautiful, but just so much rain.
So much rain.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, very good, Tony. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for being with us again this morning. As you mentioned, we have a series going, and part 2 of our series is on a market readiness strategy is the name of this series. Last week's part 1 was on a holistic income strategy, which we talked a bit about and had a great response. We sent out a bunch of the PDF file on the holistic income strategy, part 1.
Sure.
Today's part 2, a market readiness strategy. And again, for our listeners, we have 3 parts to this series. And if you would like the PDF file, which really breaks down everything we're discussing here on the radio very nicely, we're so happy to send it to you. Just, give our office a call at 504-828-2171 or visit us online at crescentcityretirement.com and let us know, and we'll shoot you an email with the whole document on this series, which has been great.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll do that. And I think it has been great. And I know that if our listeners have questions, they want a copy of this PDF, they can get that, and your office will send it out to them. All they have to do is reach out to you. Also, they can schedule a complimentary, no cost, no obligation consultation. And that's huge. Now, when you say market readiness strategy, what does that mean? What is market readiness?
Well, it means, Tony, that are your investments positioned appropriately for the goal or objective you're giving it?
Sure.
So market readiness strategy is, certainly we're talking about the stock market, but that's such a general, term. As you know, Tony, there's so many different types of portfolios and so many different risk levels of a portfolio, on a scale from 0 to 100. We were just looking at some model portfolios from a big firm, American Funds, and they have one portfolio that's got like a 22 on the volatility scale, and they have another one that's a 78. So obviously, the 22 is a very conservative model, which it is, and the 78 is pretty aggressive. So market readiness means, do we have our investments positioned appropriately for how we plan on using them in retirement?
Well, yes, a great point, Anthony. And obviously, market readiness includes having your risk management and risk tolerance balanced out, where your money is at, how much risk you're taking, right?
Absolutely. And it just depends. I mean, and I come back to time horizon, Tony. I think that, the principles that have been so tried and true over the years, if it's true, it's true. And it's always going to be true. And one of the things that'll always be true is a time horizon. In other words, I think most of our listening audience would agree that, a 40-year-old could take on more risk than maybe a 60-year-old. And then, of course, people will say, well, yeah, that would be true. Why? Because of the time horizon. The 40-year-old, maybe he's going to retire at 65, so he has a 25-year time horizon before he needs to start drawing money out. And the 60-year-old, with let's say retiring at the same time at 65, he's only got a 5-year time horizon. So time horizon is so important as it relates to how the money is invested for retirement. And so market readiness is, when do we need to have access to these funds, and are we invested appropriately? And as you say, with risk tolerance, the first thing that in our PDF it talks about is having a completed risk questionnaire to understand all the risks I'm taking with my retirement savings. So making sure that your risk tolerance obviously is what's important here, and making sure that the investments themselves align with your risk tolerance.
Right. Yeah, and that's the trick, and that's the key to a successful retirement, and making sure your portfolio is well balanced and you don't have all your money or eggs in one basket, so to speak. I get your point there, Anthony. And the way to do that is to work with somebody like yourself, a financial professional who's a fiduciary, who's going to look at your personal situation and say, okay, for you and your goals, it's best to do this and allocate it this way. And you have some type of risk tolerance questionnaire they can take to determine where they're at, correct?
Oh, absolutely, Tony. So yeah, once we go through our risk assessment, and then we look at we look at when the retirement plan needs to be executed, when someone plans on retiring. I mean, I would say the two key questions that we should all ask ourselves as it relates to retirement planning is, one, when do we want to retire? So again, back to time horizon. Is it 5 years away? Is it 10 years away? Is it 2 years away? So what is the time horizon? When would we like to retire? And then the other question, Tony, which I think is equally as important, is how much income are we going to need, or what we'd like to have in retirement, net income after taxes? How much money should we be drawing, and how much do we need, not only to pay our bills, but to maintain our lifestyle, the lifestyle that we envision for retirement? So I know they sound like very simple questions, and they are relatively simple. When do I want to retire, and how much income will I be looking for in retirement? But they're key questions, Tony, because it will come back to, when we know that time horizon and we know how much income is needing to be generated in retirement, that goes a long way with this whole concept of market readiness strategy. Do we have the strategy in place to achieve our objectives?
Right. Yeah. And I think achieve your objectives is the goal. And doing that, though, can be difficult because there are a lot of potential pitfalls that can be costly, especially with money in the market. And, Anthony, so many people have 401ks or traditional IRAs. All their money is tied up in these employer-sponsored retirement accounts, and they're fully taxable, and it's a lump sum, and it's all attached to the market. So you might want to have some more diversity there, right?
Oh, absolutely, Tony. We think there's really three primary objectives, and that would be liquidity, emergency money, structured income, and then growth. So liquidity is emergency money, right? So that's going to be invested differently. Very short-term money market funds, even bank CDs today, Tony, inside of IRAs, we're getting 5 and 5.25% on very short-term bank CDs. So, but liquid money or liquidity is so important in any retirement investment strategy. Then, of course, there's income. We're going to need income when we retire. We gain our freedom when we retire, and we love that part of it. But we're also going to lose our paychecks, and so our income plan in our retirement plan is so important. It's a foundational piece. So income's important, and having those investments that generate income. And then, of course, growth is also important because, of inflation. I mean, we're running plans to age 100, and we know when somebody retires at 65, 10 years later, things are going to, things cost more every year. So we certainly see evidence of that even today. So having a well-balanced retirement investment strategy, or this market readiness strategy, is really so important. And the second bullet point in this PDF, Tony, says, I understand that my investing strategy will need to change in retirement so I don't run out of money later in life. Well, of course, that's so true. I mean, if you don't have an investment strategy that is taken into account longevity and how long as I say, we run plans to age 100. So that's just kind of a default to us or for us. But nevertheless, you don't want to run out of money in retirement.
Yeah, nobody wants that, right? I mean, that's the goal. You want to make sure your money lasts as long as you do in retirement.
Absolutely. So having that as a goal, a structured income. Remember, Tony, we uh investing and the investment folks that are listening to our show and really across the country and all the folks that you are able to speak to around the nation, people that are saving money, if you think about it, they're working and they're saving, and we call that an accumulation strategy. And that's pretty much what we've all done our whole lives is we've worked and we've saved. When you move into retirement, we move from that accumulation strategy to a distribution strategy. So now we're not putting money in anymore, so to speak. We're taking money out. So it's the old adage of the mountain. We made it to the top of the mountain, but now we have to climb down the mountain. So we go from an accumulation strategy to a distribution strategy. And that's so important, Tony. And it's important to understand and recognize the difference between the two, because what got us where we are won't take us where we're going. We
Right.
are not accumulating per se in a retirement plan. We are taking distributions out.
Right. It's a complete opposite. It's really
the total opposite. And so just for somebody to recognize that once you make that recognition, well, then the next recognition's got to be, well, then there must be a different investment strategy for the distribution planning. And I'll give you just a quick example of why that is. Tony, if you're investing in your 401k at work and you're putting in religiously every time you get paid, every 2 weeks, automatically, and all of a sudden the market takes a 30% drop and your portfolio and your 401k drops, you're still drawing income, you're still working, you're buying shares of those funds at a lower price. I mean, that's not terrible, right? I mean, it's you're still contributing, you're still adding new money, and the shares, the fund shares are at a lower price. So you're, that whole dollar cost averaging thing, you're pulling more money, putting more money in, buying more shares for less money when the market drops, when you're accumulating, right? But let's reverse that. Let's say you're pulling money out and that same scenario takes place. The market drops and now the funds are down 30%. Well, just like it was a great idea as it relates to accumulating to keep buying into those shares. That's how bad it would be on the other side to be selling those shares at those lower prices to get money out. So it's really, apples and oranges. I mean, it's a totally different strategy between the accumulation phase of a financial life and the distribution phase. And I think that if I could say there's any one thing that I've noticed over the years that where I've, talked to people that have really taken a beating in retirement, I think it's this very point right here that we're still investing as though they were still working in this accumulation phase and never really understood or repositioned to move into the preservation and distribution phase.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's huge. Now, for our listeners out there, the key is having a plan, working with a professional. How can they do that? How can they set up that no charge, no obligation consultation with your office, or at least get a copy of this ultimate retirement checklist?
Absolutely. So, yeah, our website is crescentcityretirement.com. You can go on the website. You can schedule a 15-minute retirement call with myself or one of our advisors here. If you schedule from the radio show, it will be me. talking with you. We can schedule that 15-minute call, or you can just simply request the retirement readiness PDF that we will send to you, email to you. So it's crescentcityretirement.com. Just go on the website and request your copy, or give us a call. Just kind of old school. Pick up the phone, 504-828-2171, and let's talk, about your retirement. I know people have questions, and we just want to, be a good resource. We feel that we have a lot of good information that we can help you with, and it's laid out in a way to where it's very easy to look at. I mean, the whole retirement plan itself is very straightforward. And I tell you, for somebody to be embarking on retirement 3 to 5 years out and not have a well designed retirement plan is really, playing Russian roulette. I mean, you really owe it to yourself, whether with our firm or another firm. Make sure that you get a full retirement plan, and especially a retirement income plan in place. And the best thing to do would be to allow us to provide you with our retirement planning documents that we can lay out for you. And then it's something that you can compare with other firms. So, but it really is important to reach out and partner with a good retirement planning firm that specializes in holistic planning.
Right. I think that's great. And what's that phone number and web address one more time?
Absolutely. It's 504-828-2171, 504-828-2171. And the website address is crescentcityretirement.com.
Right. And now part of market readiness has to be dealing with down years in the market. If your retirement funds are all in a 401k or traditional IRA and it's all tied to the market, and there's a down year, but you're pulling money out for retirement and it's all coming out of your market accounts, that's not good, right? You should understand sequence of returns too, shouldn't you?
Absolutely, Tony. I mean, the money, and that comes back to the time value of money and the time horizon. I mean, money that needs to be pulled out within a 1, 2, 3 year time horizon shouldn't be invested the same way as money that doesn't need to come out, for 10 years or more. So you really have to, in this distribution strategy, you need to make sure that you're invested appropriately on how you plan on using the portfolio, how much income is coming out, when the income needs to come out. When you look at a retirement plan, you're going to see, qualified money, you're going to see Roth money, you're going to see non-qualified money. This is how all these assets are taxed. Really, how things are titled and taxed are so important as it relates to carving out a distribution strategy in retirement. The thing is, though, Tony, as you know, with our retirement compass, it really pulls it all together. The Social Security strategy, the tax planning, the distribution planning. It's such an incredible tool. I know there's other retirement income planning tools out there, but honestly, I haven't seen one to come close to the retirement compass. It's just incredible. And if you're listening and you plan on retiring at some point, absolutely request that retirement compass, because that's the distribution planning tool that really lays out not only how things are how your portfolios are invested, but how the distributions are going to take place and where the distributions are going to come from. So important. And not to go on a tangent, but the Social Security strategy is also incredibly important, and how that ties in to your overall retirement income plan. But this idea of market readiness, Tony, is really just about making sure that you're invested appropriately for how you plan on using the portfolios for the distribution.
So if our listeners want to get that done, before we go, how can they get a hold of you and set up that consultation?
Absolutely. So we really want to send this document to you because it lays out everything as it relates to a holistic income plan, market readiness strategy, taxes. It's a great document. So we really hope to get that to you. Simply go to our website at crescentcityretirement.com and request it. We'll send you an email, or just simply pick up the phone and call us, 504-828-2171. Let one of the ladies know that, you were listening to Anthony and Tony on the radio about this market readiness strategy, and we'll send you the document. And, like I say, we just want to be a good resource for you. If you're 3 to 5 years away from retirement or sooner, by all means, have a plan, put a plan together, allow us to show you what Crescent City Retirement Group and our plans look like. We're happy to do it for you as our, listening audience, and it gives you something certainly to be able to compare. And we just hope that you take advantage of that offer.
Yeah, that's great. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Congemi. Thank you for listening to Retirement Keys. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, please contact Anthony Congemi at Crescent City Retirement Group. Call 504-828-2171 or visit the website at crescentcityretirement.com.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.